welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today I come here a little bit sad that I am even having to make this video with the news of Joann. So if you're in the sewing crafting world, you have probably heard that Joann has filed for bankruptcy again. So some people, they're like, oh, this is old news. No, it's not old news. They filed for bankruptcy March of 2024, and now in January 2025 they have filed again. So I don't know all of the accounting logistics things like that behind it, but I know that they filed for bankruptcy. They weren't going to close any stores. They went back into the stock market, and basically the investors got paid out, and then they just filed for bankruptcy again because they had so much other debt, I guess, is kind of the gist of what I have gotten. And now I think because those investors and everybody have gotten paid out, they're like, well, we're just going to wipe our hands of it and be done. So they are trying to sell Joann's within the next, I think, 2 months. And if they don't find a buyer for it, they are going to go complete bankrupt, close down all of their stores. So I really hope that they find a buyer. I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of Joann's, but you can't really beat it. I mean, they have high prices, but if you get things on sale, you watch for them. If you need something now, you can just run to the store. Granted, you have to have one close to you. And there's always the Hobby Lobbies and Michael's, but they just don't have everything you need. And even like local quilt shops, like I have a local quilt shop here, but that's just for quilting. And I mean, they have thread and they have fabric, but they don't have anything for garment making. They don't have the notions or anything like that. It's very limited, and it just, you can't beat the convenience of it. They also, I love their variety of different things. I can go in, I can grab fabric, I can grab holiday decorations, I can grab crafts for my kids. And it's just sad. And like Hobby Lobby, yes, they have fabric. Michael's is kind of starting to have fabric, but it's very slim pickings and it's mostly just quilting cotton. Hobby Lobby, like I said, has fabric, just not as big of a selection as Joann. So those are really your two in-person stores. Maybe you're lucky and you do have an in-person store around you, but those are very, very rare to have a fabric store with a storefront in your area that's not a local quilt store. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to go through some of my favorite fabric shops. These are all ones that I have ordered from personally. I know there are a couple others. Actually, there's probably a lot more, but I'm not going to talk about them in this video because I do not have a personal experience with them. So if there is a fabric shop that you love and you want to recommend that I don't talk about here, feel free to leave a comment down below, and then we can kind of share all of those new fabric shops and check them out. And one thing as well, I know a lot of people, they like to go to Joann's because they like to feel the fabric, or they like to buy the fabric in person, not necessarily Joann's. And a lot of places, if you ask, they will provide a swatch card. Not everywhere. Some, they get dead stocks and things like that. But in general, you can get a swatch card, and you also can kind of use them interchangeably. Like if you find a double brush poly that's not a custom printed one, that is a 200 gram, which is the weight of the fabric, like the thickness and how heavy it is, then most likely if you find another shop that has that same fabric, it will be very similar. And mostly custom printing shops, they will provide you with a swatch card of all of their bases and things like that. Sometimes you have to buy them, sometimes they provide them for free, or if you just pay shipping, but they're usually pretty cheap. Or there's also, sometimes you can just buy a swatch of that specific fabric. And so, like I said, it kind of differs, but it never hurts to ask the owner for a swatch card or samples of your fabric. And sometimes they will say, of course, and sometimes they just say, we don't do that. Sometimes some of these shops are turning over inventory too fast that they don't find it worth it, but maybe those shops just aren't the ones for you, and that's definitely okay. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm just going to go through all of these fabric shops, and I have them kind of grouped into different sections for like custom printing, more natural basis, and things like that. So I'll go through and kind of group them together. I'll talk a little bit about each one, just give you a little snippet what they provide, and then I will link everything down below. Some of them will be affiliate links, some of them are just links. I don't necessarily get anything from these shops, but they are all small businesses, family owned, that really truly appreciate your help. So even if Joann's doesn't end up going out of business, make sure you check out these shops. They are a great resource for purchasing fabric online. So I have my notes here. So let me. All right, so the first one is kind of the all-encompassing shop. And if you have watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I always recommend this shop. It's one of my favorite shops, and that is Raspberry Creek Fabrics. They are based in Utah. All of their fabric, for the most part, is American milled. They offer seasonal club prints is what they call them. So it's like their in-house prints that you can only get there, and they are printed on cotton spandex French terry. Then they have similar prints on double brush poly. They also have a swim line. I think they do a Ponte Roma, rayon challis. They have a line, and those change seasonally. So they'll have like a fall, summer, and spring line, and then they also do holidays. So that's a great place to go, and they do coordinate everything. They also have a lot of solids. They have coordinating like stripes, gingham, and polka dots, I think, that match all of them. They do a really good job of making sure that their prints in each line match their solids and their kind of coordinating prints that are in stock at all times. They also have ready to ship fabrics like retail that are mass produced, and then they also have custom printing. And I don't know exactly, but I think in custom printing, I believe they have around 20 bases that you can get printed on, which is great. And they also have wallpaper that you can get from them as well. So like I said, that's kind of the all-encompassing one. Highly recommend. Like I said, based in Utah. Most of their fabrics are milled in the US, like their cotton spandex and things like that are all done in the US, printed in the US, small family owned. So highly recommend checking out Raspberry Creek. So since Raspberry Creek was kind of all-encompassing, now I'm going to jump into, I guess, what you would call like the retail fabrics. These are like the mass-produced. So you're going to find a lot of these prints and fabrics at multiple shops, and the prices may vary and things like that, but you might see the same print in multiple places. So I'm just going to call those the retail fabrics for the sake of this video. There might be a different name for them. But, you know, sometimes they're called pre-printed, but they're not necessarily only prints. They're solids and all different bases. So with that, the first one I would recommend is Boho Fabrics. Again, if you've been around, you know that I love Boho Fabrics. I am a strike sewist for them, so I get fabric about once a month and get to sew something up for them to promote, which I love, and I love promoting them. They always are stocking at least once a month, lots of tons of fabrics, and they are actually opening a storefront, which is awesome. And so they're adding all kinds of things. They do have some notions and different things like that, but now they are really expanding as they're going to be opening their storefront in a couple months. So I highly recommend checking out Boho Fabrics as well. And then the next one is Surge Fabric Shop. I would say it's pretty similar to Boho. They have a lot of in-stock fabrics, and they do get some dead stock fabrics every once in a while, but they have some notions and things like that. So that is another great option. And then we have Green Style, which Green Style, if you're familiar, is also a pattern company, but they do offer, most of their patterns are athletic, so they do offer a smaller selection of mostly athletic knits. So that is a great one to check out if you're looking for some athletic knits. They do offer those there. Next is Amanda's Bundles. If you are familiar, she does all retail fabrics. She does offer some printed fabrics that she selects the prints, and then they are printed specifically for her shop, and she offers them. But she has great athletic knits. She offers bundles that she gives discounts on because they're pre-cut. She also has pre-cuts that are like 2, 3, 4 yards, and you can get a little bit of a discount on a wide variety of different fabrics there that I love. And one thing about her that I love is that she allows you to hold your order. So when you go and you place your order, you can hold it and you don't have to pay shipping until you are ready to order. So you could place 5, 6, 7, 8 orders, and you could hold it for, she really lets you hold it for as long as you want. And then you go in and you say, I'm ready for shipping, and then she'll send you an invoice for shipping and then ships it all together. So that is a great way to save on shipping, and especially that she has like special buys and she gets closeouts and things every once in a while, that you can snag those and not have to worry about the shipping. Next is It's Fabrics, and this one I have ordered from a decent amount. Their prices are pretty low when you look at the website, but the one thing that I will say is they do get you on the shipping. I think that they do mark their prices down and then they overcharge on the shipping to make up for it, that they're kind of getting extra from the shipping, because I'm pretty familiar with shipping prices and I know that they are typically not as high as they make them. So that is one thing that does bother me a little bit. It's a little bit shady. Currently right now they have 25% off their whole shop. They don't have a huge selection of fabrics, but they do have a pretty nice selection. They have a lot of sweater knits, and a lot of things that they do is they will get like one fabric in a couple different colorways and have all of those options. But I do love everything that I have gotten from them. So that is another great shop to check out. And the next is Cali Fabrics. I love Cali Fabrics. They probably have one of the largest selections for fabrics online. There's just pages and pages of different fabrics that they have. And they have solids, they have prints, they have rib knit, they have athletic. They get a lot of designer dead stock and their prices are pretty cheap. So I do love them as well. They have a small selection of notions and trims on their site, but nothing really to write home about, just kind of like random, you know, elastic and things like that. So nothing too special on that end. The next is Knitpop. They have a pretty good selection of the mass-produced knits. Like I said, you could probably find them lots of other places, but they do have a pretty good selection there, and the pricing is pretty average, like $7, $8, $9 a yard for those fabrics. And then we have Sincerely Riley, which I love Sincerely Riley. I have so much fabric from Darcy at Sincerely Riley. She is Florida-based. She does everything on her own. One thing with her is she posts a lot of things in her Facebook group, and they're just kind of like one-off deals. I think she gets like scrap bundles from other companies or something. I'm not exactly sure, but she will just pull out a cut and she'll list it for that whole cut. So she'll put, sometimes it's like a 5-yard cut for $3 a yard. So it's like $15 for the cut and you have to buy the whole cut. Which is a good and bad thing, and it's also very limited. A lot of times there'll only be like one of each print. Sometimes if she has a decent amount of yardage, like 10 yards, 8 yards, she'll list it in separate cuts or by the yard so that other people have chances. But a lot of times she's listing fabrics for like $3 or $4 a yard, which is a great way to grab fabric. Sometimes she'll list flawed fabrics that she gets that they're, I think I've gotten a couple of them that, you know, they just have like a selvage cut out of them or something in a chunk, or they just had a quality check, and there's really nothing wrong with the fabrics, but it's just something that they don't want to sell at full price. So those are great. And then she does have retail fabrics on her website. They're typically around $7, $8 a yard as well, but she does run sales quite often for everything that is on her site. So definitely recommend Sincerely Riley. And then next we have Fabrics Universe. This one I actually found out I do have a little small bow company that I do on the side, and I use a lot of bullet knit for that, and that is how I found Fabrics Universe. Fabrics Universe, they offer free shipping over $35, which is great. They don't have a huge selection all the time. I love to get my solid like double brush poly and rib knits from them. They usually have a pretty good selection, and they are only like $6 or $7 a yard, which is great. And then they do offer, I've gotten like cotton spandex from them, but it's not the best. I wouldn't recommend that from them. And I've gotten some swim from them that I absolutely love. Great quality, and they do offer some like double brush poly prints that they get printed again and then offer it to you, which is another great option. And then they do have a lot of bullet, which isn't really great for clothing items and things like that, but they do have that there as well. And then we have Millie Mae Fabrics, which again is another similar one to these other shops. They offer a lot of knits. They do have wovens occasionally. Their prices are pretty good, again around that $8, $9 a yard mark, and they're mostly offering double brush poly and rib knits fabrics, and sometimes solids, but again, they're just those mass-produced fabrics that you can find at a lot of other shops. And then last but not least, for the retail end is Kiki's Textiles. And Kiki's Textiles does offer a lot of the basic mass-produced things, but they also are great for the special occasion fabrics. They have tons of really unique fabrics. They have lots of really nice velvets and things like that that aren't crazy price. They also have, I think they're so cool. If I was having to make like a prom dress or something, they offer like beaded jeweled appliques. Now those are a little bit pricey, but the beading and gem work on them is beautiful. Definitely, I think, worth the price if you were trying to achieve that look. I do know that they offer swatch cards on a lot of their fabrics, and you have wovens and everything like that for special occasions, you know, the chiffons and satins and things like that that they offer in their shop. And so now we're going to move on to the more sustainable side of fabrics, and these are like the organic or American milled type fabrics. And I'm just going to give you these three shops pretty much all together because they really do offer the same thing. And if I remember correctly, I do really think that they are all milled at the same mill here in America. They offer a couple different things outside of that, but those are L&E Fabrics, Icy Fabrics, and Millie and Dot Fabrics. So they all offer American milled French terry, ribbing, high loop French terry, cotton spandex French terry, with waffle knit. This is actually fabric from Millie and Dot, the really nice cotton spandex waffle knit. And then on that, they kind of have their own colors. So Icy is more neutral colors for the most part. They keep everything neutral. They offer some prints occasionally. Icy also offers some linens and like cotton gauze occasionally. L&E, they actually were in business and then they closed down for a while and then kind of started back up, but on a really small scale. So they will kind of put out like 4 colors at a time, and they'll do it in all of their bases, and then they'll usually have like one of the solids with a print on it, just kind of a like black print on the front of it so that you can coordinate everything, which is really fun. And then Millie and Dot, they do kind of the same thing, but they tend to have more colors and more color options. They do some bright colors. L&E does some bright colors as well. And then Millie and Dot also offers family fabrics, but Millie and Dot, they do a lot of pre-orders, and which makes it hard to get your fabric. And they used to have Euro knits, but I think they're kind of going away from that because they moved and didn't have as much room. And then they, like I said, have the family fabrics, which are really, really cute prints. I think they're from overseas, and so it's a great way to get it where you don't have to pay the extra shipping or duties or anything like that of it being imported. And then the last section that I'm going to do is the custom printing section. So if you aren't familiar with custom printing, I did touch on it a little bit with Raspberry Creek, but it's basically where you can buy what's called a seamless file, and you send it to the printer, and then you tell them how big you want it. They print that print on whatever fabric you want. Now there's different methods of printing, so you can kind of might have to play with different shops, get recommendations on the type of printing you want. There's digital printing, there's sublimation printing. I'm not going to get into all of that. I don't really know all the details of all of that, but that could affect where you get your fabric from or the base that things are printed on. So if you want to get into the custom printing world, then you may want to look into that. A lot of companies also that offer custom printing for in-house files. You can find them a lot of times at different sites as well. Some of them will be like exclusive to a single site, but typically if there's a designer out there, they're trying to put their print on as many sites as they can so that they can get as many orders of their print, because they do get a little kickback for that. So the first one, like I said, was Raspberry Creek. They offer custom printing. Next is Carriage House. They offer custom printing where you can send in a file. They also have a huge library of prints that you can choose from. The one thing with Carriage House is they do not offer anything besides custom printing. So there's no solids or anything like that. It's all custom printing. And with custom printing, I will say it is typically pretty pricey. It's the higher end of the fabrics. They're usually starting at like $20 a yard, most places where you get custom printing. So that is just one thing to think about when you are looking into the custom printing world. And then the next one is All-encompassing Fabrics. I order a lot from them with bullet. They do a lot of bullet and double brush poly. They only offer synthetic fabrics for their printing, just like I said, with their printing process. But Ozcraft does also offer UV DTF and DTFs from there that you can get them custom printed, or they do have some in-house options that you can choose from as well. And if you're not familiar with that, DTF is like a t-shirt graphic that you can get, and then UV DTF is a graphic that you can get and you can put it on hard surfaces. So basically like a permanent sticker that you can get, which is great. And then the last one is Purple Seamstress, which again, they're kind of a all-encompassing shop. Purple Seamstress, Mel runs this, started it out of her garage, which I think most of these companies actually did. And they have just grown and grown, which is great, but they are all still very small. So Mel does all of this on her own, and she does offer custom printing. She only offers on like 4 or 5 bases though. I think she does cotton spandex, a French terry, swim. I think she has an athletic knit now and a board short. And she may have added a fleece or something like that. I don't quite remember, but she doesn't have a huge selection of bases for the custom printing, but she does offer tons and tons of options for files. You can send her your own file, and her turnaround time is amazing. She is usually printing and shipping things next day, even on the custom printing. And then she does have a wide variety of ready to ship fabrics, those retail fabrics, and she kind of got her start and is really most well known for her solids and her yarn dyed stripes. So if you are looking for cotton spandex solids or yarn dyed stripes, which that means that they're not printed, the yarn is dyed and then woven together so that it's not going to fade or anything like that. Mel is the go-to for that. I think her yarn dyed stripes are, I think, 70 inches wide, which is great. You get a little bit more when the price is a little bit higher, but that accounts for that reason. I think it's like $10 a yard, $11 a yard, and then her cotton spandex is $6 or $7 a yard, and she has so many. Again, another place where you can get swatch cards. She'll send them to you. You can get a card of all of her cotton spandex solids and her stripes, and so that you can have those to compare if you were needing to purchase, which is great. All you have to do is send her a message, and she just pops one in the mail and sends it to you, which I love. So that is all that I have for you today. That was quite a bit of shops to check out, and really what I would recommend is think about what you want and then kind of start there. So if you're wanting more natural fibers, go to those shops. If you're wanting just cheap fabric, mass produced, you're fine with that, then go to some of those shops. If you are looking for a little bit of everything, go to Raspberry Creek or Purple Seamstress and just kind of start from there. I always like to go to the shop that I can get the most bang for my buck, especially with shipping prices and things like that. You know, you don't want to pay $6 or $7 of shipping in one yard and do that from 4 or 5 different shops. So if I can go to one shop and get my custom printed fabric and this and elastic and that, then I'm going to go to those shops that have the most. And that's kind of just my personal preference now. Or when they have sales, I will kind of stock up on places like that. And a lot of them will let you reach out, and they'll say you can fit one more yard in your box and your shipping price won't increase. So they'll let you add a yard before they ship it, which is great because, like I said, shipping can get expensive, and that is really the biggest downside of having to order fabric online. And then now I know I went through all the fabric shops. I do have one more website for you, and that is wawak.com. And Wawak is kind of the go-to place for notions. So they have everything from threads, elastics, bag making supplies, I don't even know what else, scissors, cutting materials, pretty much anything you could think of that you need from sewing, they will have. And they do have pretty good prices, and they do also offer bulk pricing, so the more you buy, the more discount you can get. And they do also have a booklet, I can't think of what the right word is, that has everything in it that you can have shipped to you. Again, they'll just send it to you for free, so you can kind of go through if you aren't a huge fan of shopping online. And I will add another shop on here. It is cam snaps. If you're looking for snaps and grommets and things like that, they are a highly recommended place for your snaps and all of that. And I do get a lot of my notions on Amazon. I have some that I really love that I have been using, and they have worked great for me. And I will put a link to my Amazon storefront in there that I have all of the recommendations of things that I've used there, which is great. I like Amazon for the fast shipping, and sometimes I can get better prices. Wall does have really fast shipping as well. Over Christmas, I actually ordered 2 things of elastic that I needed, and it came in 2 days with the craziness of shipping in the Christmas time. So that is great as well. And I do think that Wall, they have like I think it's $5.99 flat rate, and then if you purchase over like $100 maybe, then it's free shipping. So like I said, I like to get my bang for my buck. So if I am buying something, I will stock up so that I can get that free shipping. But that is all I have for you for online shop. So if you have a place that you recommend that I didn't talk about, like I said, make sure you leave a comment down below so that we can share the wealth of knowledge, and then just put a little blurb about what the shop is, where they're located. I know there might be some in Canada and other places like that, but this is really just for more the US shops that are affected by losing Joann's, if that does happen. Like I said, I really hope it doesn't happen. If it does, that is what it is. And even if it doesn't, we can still support all of these small businesses in between our Joann's runs. So thanks for watching. Bye.